Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, presumably by a guy Lao Tzu. We don't focus on that here, but we focus on the Tao Te Ching as an oracle. It consists of 81 chapters of enigmatic wisdom and text on how we might live a more reasonable life. I talk about living a reasonable life as if everything that we do, we have to check in with ourselves, right? We have to, when we talk about going with the flow of our own thoughts, of our own feelings, of our own minds. You know, when we feel something, we have to take it seriously. We do. That doesn't mean that other people have to take it seriously. It doesn't mean that other people have to change, but we have to look at ourselves and say, what is it that we're looking at? The other day I sat down and I believe I was looking at 53. Let me see. Is Tao is easy? No, it wasn't like that. Tao, like Tao Su Tu Yu. No, observing virtue, 54. I was sitting with someone, we were getting coffee, and I was showing them my app and all of this stuff, and they picked number 54. And we talked about this idea of respect the children and they will respect the children. So it says, tend to Tao in your life and it will never be uprooted. Hold fast to Tao and it will never slip away. Filled with Tao, respect the children and they will respect the children. That simple virtue will continue for every generation. And that is a virtue. There's a virtue to respecting the children. What are the children? Who are the children? What are we talking about here? And when I talk about this verse, I can't help but just kind of look at this as the children are action's birth, right? Because that's what children are, right? Like you take an act and you have a child from it, right? Like that's like, okay, you have sex with somebody and then that produces a child sometimes. But it also produces relationship. It also produces other things. It's not just children. But every act that we take, every thought that we have, every influence that we succumb to creates an outcome, creates a some sort of cause and effect kind of thing, right? Like if I'm thinking negative thoughts all the time and I start to wonder why my life is shit, right? Why my life is bad, why I'm not happy, why I'm not where I want. When I have a desire and I lean into that desire. These are the actions that I'm taking. This is why I'm always telling people, like, ask yourself if you like that you're doing this. Because you know, when we use phrases like, can you endorse all that you do? So that for those of you who have listened to me for a while, you've heard that statement before, right? Can you endorse all that you do? And there's something really important about being able to endorse all that you do. Not just some of it, not just when it's convenient, but all of it. Lo, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Life is easy. I'm already on my second kombucha, so I might be a little over-caffeinated this morning, but life is easy.
Oh, caffeine. I miss you, caffeine. I had a really good day yesterday, and I got to come home and kind of just be at home, which is the first time that's happened in a very long time. I went to bed early, and I just feel good. And although I will tell you this, I thought of you yesterday because I had a therapy session, and at the end of it, I had to admit, and I can't even remember exactly what it was, but I didn't like admitting it. But I don't know, like I'm liking being wrong more a little bit. I still don't love it. It's still not my favorite.
You're liking being what?
Wrong.
Wrong.
Or
Yeah.
needing to investigate myself and
Yeah.
why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. So like I do think that I've become more positive. It's a work in progress. I think that I've made great strides based on knowing where I was, but I still have these feelings that something's going to happen. Occasionally, they're happening less and less, but I think I think it's my gut speaking. I think it's true.
Hmm.
I don't think it's anxiety. And I was explaining this to my therapist, and he, like he didn't shut me down, which I really loved because I always am afraid that I sound kind of nuts when I talk like that. And but he did pose the question of, and I didn't think about it, and I didn't like that he made me think about it, but he was right. I'm big into the whole like self-fulfilling prophecy, and I've clocked that with like negative talk, like you set yourself up for failure. But like he was like, you can have these bad feelings, but do you ever think that, maybe when you try to get involved to correct it, you actually make it happen? And I was like, no, I didn't apply it to that. And I was like, and I don't like that you just made me think about that. But I do like that he made me think about that because it appeals to the contrarian in me. I am enjoying even being a contrarian myself. Like,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
And for what I was just talking about, like this line and this 54, which, I just started chatting about this morning, this respect the children and they will respect the children. Like the idea that respect where these thoughts are coming from so that you can respect the results that come from it and recognize the truth behind it, that this is how you perceive the world. This isn't necessarily how the world actually is, but this is how you perceive it. And then as you perceive it in a certain way, you have preference because you're expecting to see something. So that becomes your preference of focus. So then you're focusing on the failure of it. You're focusing on the difficulty of it. You're focused on, so those become your preferences. This is why we talk about the idea of respecting the children of the thoughts that you have, the outcome of the thoughts that you have, so that you can then be a better parent, meaning have better thoughts, so that the children that you're birthing, that your actions birth, become more in line with who you are.
Yes. Yes. So that was my yesterday, but I like it. I like it.
It's
I'm
yeah.
excited.
When you can like the journey rather than just the celebration of completing something that's never been completed. Being in a place where you were just moving through rather than actually being like, marriage is this journey, right? And part of that journey has become divorce for many people. And so this is just part of the journey of being married, just like death is part of the journey of being alive. And you're in the journey, and to accept and to really embrace the journey of it all, and the challenge that you get faced with, that people ask you to look at things that you're maybe not ready to look at, but here you are doing great.
Yeah. And what's the other thing I was gonna say? There was another point. I lost it,
That's
but
okay.
in general, I just am feeling good, and
Okay.
I was not anticipating feeling good today because I was anticipating being fixated on tomorrow, and I'm not. So,
Okay. Well, not yet, at least. So let's pick a number and find out.
oh
Find out
God.
if we can get some perspective.
Let's see. Let's do 63.
Oh, wonderful. See, look at this. Problems are no problem.
Oh God.
Oh, God. Be still and you will act without doing. Be still and your work will happen regularly. Be still and your senses will engage the subtle. Similarly engage a stranger as the multitude. See the majesty of mountains in a grain of sand. The master knows greatness cannot be grasped. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. With no desire to achieve it, her stillness guides her, making subtle movements the difficult seems easy. She knows that life is not without its problems, so problems turn out to be no problem at all. You know, like this idea of being still, you know, like on all throughout the whole thing, it says, hey, be still, be still, be still.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the face of problems, you don't have to get manic. You don't have to run around and do more things, because so often, I mean, how many times, I know I've done this, I still do this. There's no problem, or there's no real problem, but the problem exists in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone's thinking something that I don't want them to think. And this is all happening in my mind because they might not be thinking that at all. And then I step in to say something that causes more problems.
Yes.
You know, like I step into, and then they're like, that wasn't the case at all. And then I try and backtrack, which causes even more problems. And then I'm trying to explain myself, and I inadvertently like offend them even further. And now it's like, now I'm buried in problems. And the best thing for me to do is just walk away.
Yeah, and you know, we had an incident where that happened right in front of me, and I tried to tell the girl, I was like, you said something stupid. I was like, it was racist. Do I think you intended it to be that way? No, but you very definitely didn't clock the room. And I said, and now you're going around and you're forcing your apology on people who are still angry. I was like, you, at this point, I was like, you just need to shut up.
Right. Absolutely. And sometimes they're not, the apology makes it worse, because what they're doing is they're oftentimes telling other people how they misinterpreted. It's like, yeah. I didn't say that. You misinterpreted. I'm sorry that you saw it this way. And it's like, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth now. Like, you're making things worse. And it's like, when we can be still and not even start, right? Because it says here, be still and you will act without doing. There's no preconceived idea of what you're trying to get across. And then your actions come from your inspiration. Be still and your work will happen regularly. The work, like, I know for my life, like, things I have to do constantly happen. So if I, like last night, had very little to do, I just sat there and I allowed myself to be still. It was such a nice moment. Like, I mean, it was like 2 hours of me just kind of looking out the window at the snow and just sort of like, this is a nice night. And that was it. And then this morning I woke up and there was things to do. So those things then got done. It's like, the next thing to do is always presenting itself. So it's like, just no need to rush into that, because it'll be here soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm starting to see, like, a lot of times too, I told my therapist, like, I do think that I can feel what other people feel, and it gets overwhelming sometimes. And I tell him, like, I was like, it's not so bad when I'm one-on-one with somebody, or even like in a smaller group, but I was like, in, you know, larger groups, I was like, you have to understand, we've got so-and-so over here arguing, we've got so-and-so laughing over here, we've got so-and-so really upset and really crying. I was like, there's too many emotions. Like, I literally get sick to my stomach sometimes just because it's just all thrown at me and I'm not sure how to feel. And like, I base how to feel on how the room feels. I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way to do it.
Well, I like to remind people just from the energetic standpoint, right? Some people like, you can look into, have you ever looked into human design?
Yeah.
Okay. So you might want to look into human design and figure out what your design is and look into like how you might engage energy. However, energy that is not connected to you cannot penetrate you, right? So all of these energetic signatures that you're coming across, the crying, the anger, these are all things that resonate with you. They're not solely someone else's, because there is an emotion that's getting passed around that you are not engaging and someone else is, because it's theirs, not yours. So no matter what, no matter how empathetic you are in terms of, in terms of being able to pick up on other people's energy, that's because you have so many relationships with so many energetic signatures. So they're not just someone else's. So you're not a victim to it. That's just what I'm saying, is like, you're not a victim to someone else's and the energy that's going around. This is also yours. Now, yours are getting triggered and yours are coming to the surface because there are other people experiencing them at a really deep level, and that's going to become overwhelming for you. However, this stillness is going to be the thing that's going to help you even further. Because the idea that you don't know how to feel is not relevant. What's relevant is, what are you personally experiencing? So like, once you can get still and allow all of these things around you to kind of be there, like, feel into that solar plexus just underneath your rib cage, above your belly button. Feel into that little area in your body, and just sort of ask yourself, what am I feeling? And can I give that love? Because what will happen when you do that is you'll be giving love to those people that are having those intense feelings, because those intense feelings are connected to your feelings. And you don't necessarily have to do anything for them, because the intensity is happening in your body. And when you do it in your body, we are all connected. So you will be offering them that love too.
Yeah, I just recently read a quote that said, observe, don't absorb. And I think I am working on that. And I have also said, since I've stepped up volunteering, I have many opportunities to leave the room for just a moment or two. And that has helped me regulate so much, because I do get a moment to step outside and I do get a moment to breathe and be like, okay, what am I feeling? Because I don't know how to do it based on, myself, and I'm learning how to do that. And people don't understand, when you've walked on eggshells, literally your entire life, you read the room. It's
impossible. Like, that's not tenable, right? And you walking on eggshells when shit can hit the fan at any moment, like, that's a trauma experience. That you can't just forget that. Like, you live that so deeply. And it is so deeply ingrained into everything that you do, and when you're young, right, and you don't have the facilities to stand up for yourself, you don't have the facilities, and you don't have the ability to walk out of the room. You don't have the facilities, and you don't have the ability to speak up. And all of those things, so you walk on eggshells, and so the moment you feel like you're walking on eggshells, you actually clam up. Sometimes, it's not necessarily what you're doing today, but oftentimes, or you get defensive, or there is some sort of swing that pulls you away from this idea of being still. So when we look at 63 and we said, We say problems turn out to be no problem at all. The problem is that, there's a toxic threat in my vicinity. That toxic threat is causing me to walk on eggshells. It's causing me to act defensive. It's causing me to act offensive and attack. It's causing me, so there's this toxic threat outside of me. But when we look at this 63 and it says, be still and you will act without doing. Be still within yourself and you will act without having to say anything, right? You will offer that person that love from that solar plexus area in your body. You will often offer that person a little space. You will offer that person like all of this kind of acceptance without having to engage. So you will act without doing. Be still and your work will happen regularly. All of this is your work, right? Any time an emotion comes in and you say, oh, it's because of all of them. It isn't them. That's why I say, do you think you can help other people? You're wrong. There are no other people. What you do is you help yourself. And as you help and heal yourself, you help and heal all of those you are connected to. And then it says, be still and your senses will engage the subtle. So instead of engaging the conspicuous, like their anger or their sadness, when you get still with yourself, you're going to understand the root of that sadness, the root of that anger. And you're going to understand that simply because you are connected to that root, because you are connected to that person. And those things are subtle. They're not coming out. Like they might say one word that you hear and it's like, oh, that's what this is about. Like remember last week, if you guys were listening to me, someone came up and started talking to me about like my feeding squirrels. And then we found out that they got diabetes, right? And it's like, oh, okay. So that is the subtle, right? The subtle thing is being able to identify why this person is so hell-bent on teaching me something, right? He's teaching me that he was hurt by diet, right? He's teaching me that he was hurt by somebody who didn't know that this food would hurt them, right? And then their ignorance caused him to to have diabetes, right? Like so. And that's speculation, but it was pretty obvious, right? However, like that person might not even know that that's the argument that he's making, right? Might not even know because it's the conspicuousness versus the subtle. And so be still and your senses will engage the subtle. My senses were able to engage like the subtleness underneath the conspicuous argument. And it allowed me to have a conversation with someone. It allowed me to connect. It allowed that person also, hopefully, to see their own self in the argument. The master knows greatness cannot be grasped. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. See, greatness, I guess we can start looking at the idea that like, oh, is it arrogant to walk around and be like, I want to be great? Yeah, well, it is. But when we recognize that we and everybody is great, and we are just a conduit for greatness to flow, we can get out of our own ego's way and allow that, we can allow that greatness to flow through her, flow through us. So we remain still and we don't overly respond. We don't try and feel something. We don't try and match. We allow ourselves to be still. Once again, we look at other verses that say, like in conflict, let the host of the conflict exhaust themselves. There's no reason for us to keep engaging and keep energy flowing to the argument, to the conflict. We can allow the host to exhaust themselves while we remain still and sort of, I don't want to say take it, because if it was a beating, of course, you'd have to wield a weapon, right? We're using all of these terms from all of these verses that we've addressed before, right? Like, we're not going to submit, but we can surrender to the fact that this person has something to say, and we're going to allow them to say it. And we do. We allow them to say what they need to say, because that may give us insight to love ourselves. And if we do get triggered, that definitely gives us insight into who we are. And it says, the master knows greatness cannot be grasped. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. Greatness in every moment, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're alone or in a group with one other person driving. You know, if you're driving down the road, you are in a group, right? And everybody that's driving and in and around you is going to be affected by what you're doing. Can you remain still in that moment without trying to get in anybody's way, without trying to get ahead, without just doing what you are inspired to do? If you are inspired to pass somebody, pass them. That's fine. I've realized the more I allow this kind of stuff to happen, the more I can feel like when I'm driving, I can almost feel the light. You know, like as I'm just kind of like just staring off into space at a red light sort of thing and waiting for it to change, like my foot starts, I've recognized my foot starts to remove itself from the brake before the green light goes. It's like I am in tune. Now, can we say that maybe in my peripheral vision I'm seeing the yellow light, and then I'm there's a timing thing involved in it all and all of that kind of stuff? Yes, we can definitely chalk it up to cause and effect. I have no problem with that. However, I've noticed over the last couple of years that it's just been, and this started on my motorcycle, because on my motorcycle I have to put it in gear in order to drive it, where I drive an automatic transmission now. Because of my MS, I decided not to have a car that's manual anymore, because I need both of my hands and both of my feet to drive that, and with my MS, that might not be that very well might not be the case forever. So I had to continue. I had to shift and get an automatic transmission. But yeah. So remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her, and you're constantly connected to everything. And so, like, it's not great. It's not greatness that you can. It's not greatness that I can predict or green light. Who cares? But that shows that we're connected to things in a way that can't be explained, in a way that can't be, tracked necessarily. I mean, maybe we can, hook my brain up to a whole bunch of, electrodes and stuff and be like, things are happening and he must know, but who knows? Marianne, good luck today.
Thank you. Yeah, I need it. So
just put that in there real quick. I need it. Yep. No, you're going to do great. It's going to be great. You're out there in the Overlook Hotel.
All by myself. I've never had a whole building to myself.
For those of you who don't know, because this was a email exchange that I had with Marianne, but she is. We want you to explain where you're at real quick.
I'm doing my field experience for my deaf and hard of hearing class down at the Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf. So this place is all in sign language. I again have learned there's a couple people who will talk, but the majority of it's in sign language. And I'm observing a preschool room for 2 days. Yeah, a little set of twins that are 3 years old. So.
Oh, that's so cute. And you're in it's like it has to be over 200,000 square feet. Like that's an enormous building that you're in. Like it's a school building.
It's an old dorm. It's not an old dorm because I'm in here. But yeah, it's a dorm because the people, especially years ago, they would live here, and so I'm guessing this was one of the more of the original dorms. They've now built a more state of the art dorm that the kids who do live here during the week still stay in. So
But you're in there all alone.
All alone.
Do you have like a kitchen, or do you go to get breakfast and stuff at a certain? Oh, no. Wonderful.
No, I have my own kitchen. I have my own TV room. I have bathroom on the first floor, showers and a bathroom on the second.
Well, that's great. All right, so let's dive in and pick a number to see what's what, and then you can kind of tell me what's going on with you today.
Sure, just random.
Okay, so what's going on with you today?
Second day down here I'm sad, and then after here I head up north to St. Paul to stay with my parents over the next 2 nights, and then Wednesday and Thursday I'm at the another preschool program in St. Paul. Except that one starts at 7:15 in the morning. This one starts at 8:45.
Yeah, that's a shift.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, this one is interesting. Number 14, hidden in plain sight. And the reason it's interesting is because you're talking about, we're talking so much about, the deaf and hard of hearing, and the second line of this is listen and there's nothing to hear.
Huh.
So it says look and there's nothing to see, listen and there's nothing to hear, reach and there's nothing to grasp. These three nothings come together, and they combine and are one. This is a mystery and cannot be named. It is present within all manifestation and forever returning to nothing. So subtle it cannot be identified. So conspicuous it is never hidden. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. You cannot know if you're doing it. You cannot prove that you're doing it. But you can still be doing it. You are using it right now. But for what? The thing that pops, that just keeps screaming at me as I read this is when you are so concerned with your signing, what happens to your ability to connect?
It disappears because I freeze, basically. Right. I'm like, I can't get it out, what I'm thinking. So.
And that's when when I read this idea that so subtle it cannot be identified, so conspicuous it is never hidden. It's like you can't identify that connection that you're going to have with the children, with the staff, with the others, because you are so locked up in judging yourself from a standpoint of your ego, probably, but that goes into fear, right? Like you're afraid of communicating poorly. You're afraid of not being right. You're afraid, but that's still the conspicuousness of your ego. While what's really happening is everybody around you is telling you you're doing just fine. I'm guessing that nobody criticized you.
Oh no, they're all helpful.
Right. So all of this kind of chatter that's going on in your head is only keeping you from making genuine connections.
That's true. And the other thing I did was I really missed my work and my two paras, my two friends up there. Yeah. So instead of being more in just the whole thing down here, it's like, oh, I wish I was up north because I know everything up there. So,
right.
I'm comfortable in my room. And
yeah. And that's the thing. When you look around you What this is saying, look and there's nothing to see. You're looking around you and you're finding that everything is different because you're looking at the conspicuousness of the manifestation. It says, listen and there's nothing to hear because you're listening for familiarity. Reach
Right.
and there's nothing to grasp. Nothing is here for you to grasp. And yet you can connect in a new way and create an entirely new experience and have an entirely new connection to another person, to someone new, by just letting go of that need to be right, that ego, that idea of who Marianne is when she's in her safe space, when she's in her comfort zone. But that's not where the magic is.
Wow.
And this is a mystery. What was that?
That's probably the biggest thing I'm learning in this is, that I don't know if I've become too comfortable up at Clearbrook or whatever, but this has been my challenge. It's like, it is totally outside my comfort zone.
Right. And it says here, this is a mystery and cannot be named. It is present within all manifestation and forever returning to nothing. As you get comfortable with something, that's going to collapse and leave you hanging again. You're going to create a wall and you're going to create an identity. You're going to create a house around which you can exist. And then those walls are going to collapse and you're going to have to increase the size because the substance that you're bringing in is constantly coming. And as that comes, you have to be ready for a new experience. You're going to be connecting with 3-year-old kids, right? Is that right? Did you say there were 3?
Yes.
You're going to be connecting with 3-year-old kids. They don't care. I remember when I went to Colombia and I was talking to my friend and his kid, who was 4 years old, was like, why does he talk so bad? And I can't, he's right. He's a 4-year-old and he can spot that my grammar was so bad. That's okay. I shouldn't be expected to speak as well as a 4-year-old who grew up in Colombia, versus myself who yes, as an adult, I'm bringing Spanish in, but, and that was the thing with my niece when we went to Spain. She wouldn't even try and speak Spanish because she knew she couldn't keep up with my 5-year-old cousin, and it's like, and so it was embarrassing for her, but that kept her from making any connections.
Yeah,
that
and
kept
I totally
her.
understand. I'd see it. I mean, that's what I do. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to sit here because then I don't have to talk.
For years I would do language exchange, and this is a language that you're learning. So don't, it's the same as any other language. When I would do my language exchange online, I would be so nervous and I would just not want to do it, not want to do it, not want to do it. And when I was a kid, when I had that feeling, I would feel sick to my stomach. And that would be when I would have to perform, when I'd have to get in front of a group, when I'd have to do all these things. And so because I was sick, I often got away with, I don't feel good. I can't go to the thing. I can't perform in front of people because I'm sick. And I would be sick, because I was so nervous and I didn't know what it was. It was just my stomach just being tied in knots and tight. And I was so nervous and scared. And because my mom made it okay for me to not go, I don't know if she thought I was sick or if she knew that I was nervous and didn't know how to deal with that or whatever. It doesn't matter. But this was the experience I had, was that I would get nervous and I would not face it, and then I wouldn't have to. And that was all the better.
but it's not, is it?
It's not.
You're like, man, for me, I'm like, I failed myself by not even attempting it.
Right. And then it's like, oh, I wish I would have done it. Everybody else did it. And then as I get older, I still don't have a grasp on performing in that way. I mean, obviously I perform every morning here, but but there's this idea of like when I have to sit down and sort of be judged by somebody that like how good is your Spanish or how, like all of these sorts of things. It's like I don't want that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And I shy away from it, or I get nervous and I just want to not do it. I even have an accountability buddy call on Monday nights that I get nervous about because I'm like, what if I don't add up? What if I don't live up to the expectations of this other person? And I'm like, what are you talking about? These are all just bullshit ideas and stories you have in your head. They have nothing to do with what's going on. When we look at this number 14, once we look at it, there's nothing to see. There's nothing bad about what you're about to approach. You've listened and there's nothing here. You haven't heard any criticism. You haven't heard anything. It's all coming from you. And that's why it says, this is a mystery and cannot be named. It is present within all manifestation. We all have to face this and forever returning to nothing. It turns out it is nothing. There's nothing here. So subtle it cannot be identified. So conspicuous it is never hidden. It's always present, never hidden from us. But we can't identify it because it is subtle. It's just this nervousness, this anxiety, this little bit of something that just kind of hangs on. It says, consider a time before history. And when I wrote those words together, before history is when we started writing. Right? History is identified as, prehistory is before writing. History is once everything started getting written down. So consider a time before we wrote to show you how to yield, before there was any standard whatsoever, before there was any consensus on what you were supposed to do. Consider a time before we started identifying the standard, to show you how to yield to this nervousness, yield to this anxiety, yield to the idea that you have to achieve some fucking thing.
Yeah, because there is nothing that I need to prove.
Right. And then it goes on to say, you cannot know if you're doing it to actually yield because you are nervous. You cannot prove that you're doing it because if you say I'm not nervous or I am nervous, like no one has to believe you. No one has. You can't show anybody what's going on within you. But you can still be doing it. You can still be facing this. You can still be yielding and considering a time before there was a standard. And then it says you're using it right now. You're using all of this within you right now. But for what? Are you investing in the nervousness? Are you investing in the idea that, you're just going to be challenging yourself in this space, right? Thanks for coming back up. And so that is what this is saying. What a nice 14.
That really was. So thanks. So today I'll try to be much more in the moment and not be wishing I was back up north.
I'll send you this text today so that you can check in with it a little later.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Good luck today.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, low 63. Marianne 14. Problems are no problem with 63 and hidden in plain sight. Hidden in plain sight is the title of the one we just went through with Marianne. Sometimes things we can't see them and they're right in front of us. And these are the gifts, right? These are the gifts that life gives us. But we can't see them. We can't see them because we're not looking for them, right? Or we're looking for the destination rather than the gift of the journey that we're on. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is Martin John, and if you benefit from the work I do here on Tao of the Day, please support this show. You can do so by going to my profile and checking out my links. You can support this show in many ways. You can purchase one of the books, one of the Tao, so that you can have it and you can follow along when we talk about certain numbers. Other ways you can support me is through Venmo or Buy Me a Coffee. You can find links to that in my link tree, or you can find Buy Me a Coffee in the bottom right-hand corner of my website. And that's going to be on any page you visit. Other than that, I love you guys. I love coming here and talking about this. I'll be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. Central Time. And until then, keep recovering yourself.